Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello, and welcome to Mary versus the Movies with your host, Mary Jones.
And Dennis Ling.
And yes, once again, we have a special guest. Welcome back to the show. As always, Alana, what are you bringing us this time?
Pizza.
Yes, pizza.
Actually, that's true.
So we're making our own pizzas today because pizza is very important to all of us.
Yes,
It is.
absolutely.
And as somebody who doesn't eat dairy cheese and doesn't have a car, that's kind of a problem for me.
True.
Because I don't think they deliver. So, yeah, we're just making it, and it looks good.
It does.
Well, I don't know how much like pizza translates into a podcast. Although I do listen to some cooking podcasts. I know that sounds weird, but it's just NPR stuff, honestly. You also came here. Well, actually, we came to you.
Yeah.
With a with a movie, and you won't reveal what this movie is.
Well, I found that it's more fun to not tell you, because then I don't get frustrated that in the couple of weeks beforehand when I make sure that you haven't watched it, that you've already forgotten what I said.
So yeah, we're talking about food because you won't tell me what this is because you don't want me to get disappointed. And I get it because you've shown us several films and each time I've basically just crapped on it.
That's not true. You love Shock Treatment.
Shock Treatment was great.
Shock Treatment.
I enjoyed the heck out of Nick Knight.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. And Dream a Little Dream is interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, and that's
I still
the thing.
don't think that's a good movie, but that's an interesting movie.
It's a very interesting movie. It's really interesting because it was like somebody's kid or something trying to do their first movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I try to bring you things that are sort of off the beaten path. And
Or from USA Network.
I mean, they're all from they're from USA or USA or Lifetime. So
Someday we'll do Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I do look forward to Hell Comes to Frogtown, but
every time you say that, I just think it's like a Lost Boys sequel.
I have I don't know what it is. I think it's a Western starring Roddy Piper, and as someone who loves They Live, sign me up. But
Okay, so here's the clue I'm giving you.
okay.
It has at least 3 actors that you have already had watched movies from in your episodes,
Okay.
including one that you watched in a movie for me.
Okay. So
Is it a Corey?
It is not a Corey.
okay, it's not a Corey. Okay, I'm trying to think. Like, what else have we watched?
Patrick Dempsey?
Oh my God, you're right. Patrick Dempsey. Is it anything?
No,
with...
but right movie.
Oh, who was the chick in that movie?
Wait, was Robert Downey Jr. in that?
Brad Pitt was in Happy Together,
Right.
and maybe there's like a millisecond. No, I don't think so. I can't
No, I don't
remember.
think so.
But the Brad Pitt thing blew my mind.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I forgot about Happy Together. Oh, this is gonna kill me. Do I know this person? Like, okay, well, we watched a movie. Oh, man, puzzles. All right. Can I get another clue?
Are they famous for anything else?
Yeah.
Yes, all 3 actors are known for other things.
Is it Ghostbusters?
No,
Does it have Nicolas Cage?
it does not.
Okay.
You bring your expectations down. We are watching probably something I picked up on USA or Lifetime.
Right. Okay. Okay. So who's more dirtbaggy?
More dirtbaggy than Nicolas Cage.
Hey, he's a Coppola. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Let me think.
I'll give you another hint. We've already mentioned 2 of the movies.
What, before we start recording though, or after we start recording?
After.
My God.
Can you remember a time before we started recording?
No.
No.
I'm like a goldfish. I live in a permanent now.
Smoke's coming out of her ears. I'm going to read you what I put this in the Discord.
Yeah.
Because Mary versus the Movies has a Discord now. And it is what Siskel and Ebert said about the movie. Siskel said, "The film's goal is noble, but gee, it's so corny." Ebert said, "The weirdest, strangest, most inexplicable movie of this or any year." Now, legitimately, when I read that, I was like, oh, that has to be Dream a Little Dream. No, it's not. But to me, that makes sense.
Okay.
Dream a Little Dream is a weird movie.
Very weird movie.
The fact that he said it about this movie blows my mind.
So,
Go as low as you can go of somebody you've already seen in a movie.
oh man, who started in Halloween 3? The guy with the mustache.
No clue.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the actors from that.
Oh man,
I am not here to torture you. I really thought that this would move along a little bit more.
you have no idea how much of Swiss cheese my brain is made of.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
I've got big holes in here. No, okay, I'm. Yeah, I don't know. Do I surrender? Unless you have another clue, I surrender.
I believe that one of the actors you've seen twice. Oh, it is killing me not to eat this pizza and cut this
I know.
microphone in.
Ah,
You have done a movie and its
a movie
sequel,
and its
I believe.
sequel,
And its sequel.
and its sequel.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
I've
good at
done
my
a-
Mary versus the
I
Movies
know, but
lore. Thank you.
I've done 174 episodes,
Yeah, it's a lot.
not including Hollywood Avalon. I mean, this is hard.
It is hard. Dennis? Any idea?
Can you tell me what the sequels?
my
what the movie?
my problem is I don't think about actors at all. Like
Yeah, that
I
makes
just
sense.
filter them out.
I was obsessed about knowing who was in what when I was young, so that's important to me. I mean, the sequel is just the name of the first movie with a 2 at the end. You had to have done this. I
Wait,
legitimately...
Evil Dead?
No.
Oh.
Did you do both?
No, because I've seen Evil Dead too.
No. You did it. Oh, maybe you didn't do the first one. I thought you did.
Oh my God, this is killing me. Please help. you got to give me something here.
Okay, so I know how much you like looking at the names as they come up on the screen and going, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun.
So I'm not going to tell you anything.
Yeah. No. That's fine.
I will say that this movie, I have not watched it in a very long time. I have no idea if it's good or bad.
Okay.
I know that it's noble or something and weird.
That sounds perfect.
I watched it a lot, and then afterwards we'll talk about some of the sort of repercussions in my life that came from watching this movie.
Okay. All right. So
Do we have a title?
can you?
Yeah, I can give you the
I was going to
title.
say at
You
this
want
point,
the title?
can we now
Yeah.
get the title?
Listen to me.
Listen to me. This isn't the Kirk Cameron movie
Yes, it is.
anti-abortion thing?
Yes,
Oh my God, because that's got Roy Scheider in it.
it does. Jaws 2.
Oh my God.
Did you do Jaws or just Jaws 2?
Just Jaws.
Just
2.
Jaws 2.
Oh,
We-
man.
we
But
know
here's the
Jaws.
thing. He did 2 sequels. He did Jaws 2 and he did 2010, the year we made contact. He's in a couple of sequels.
Oh, okay.
That's-
That's what
Oh
I was.
my
I
God.
remembered his name
Here's the
came up
thing.
more than once.
I remember this movie barely.
I wondered because I did ask you like a year ago,
Did you?
and you were like, "I don't know what it is."
No. Well, I don't remember. I don't know why this jarred my memory, but yeah, it's Kirk Cameron. And I mean, I haven't, like, I remember it being on cable a lot. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't think I've ever actually seen the whole movie.
Well,
I've
perfect.
seen bits and pieces. Oh my God, I can't wait to unpack this with you. This is going to be insane.
You need to go check your pizza.
Yes, I do. Guys, let's put it this way. Is there a dog? I don't remember.
Oh, right.
Is there a death? We'll talk about that when we get into the show. Because from what I remember, it's like an anti-abortion movie, right? Maybe not.
Maybe
I'm
it's-
not telling you jack.
Maybe it's read as an anti-abortion movie now.
I don't know.
I think you're reading it as an anti-abortion movie because Kirk Cameron's in it.
Oh, maybe I am. Maybe I'm completely
Is there a
backwards.
girlfriend?
There is a girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. So there. I don't know if there's a love triangle, but there's a girlfriend.
Is there an angry father?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, is that a
Who,
new
who
one?
could be God?
Where are you?
It could, you could just take angry father as far as you want.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just gonna start eating.
You go ahead and start eating. I've got to take a pizza out, and let's go watch this movie.
All right.
So wait, was it an anti-abortion movie the whole time and I just didn't know?
Oh, Alana.
Kind of, sort of.
Not. That's not a kind of. It's not a kind of.
I mean, they talk about sex education and like all the things that we think of as like Republicans would never do now. Sex education and all this other stuff. They talk about that sort of thing. And they say abortions for women with cases of rape and incest, which is another thing that you don't hear a lot anymore. So, I mean, yeah, it's a conservative position, but in 2020, whatever year we're in, 2025, it feels fairly moderate.
Okay, so let me ask you something. When is the last time you've seen this film, actually?
I legitimately do not know. So
Okay.
I'm going to say at least 15 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it was even in this century.
You have to remember that, like, I spend a lot of time with evangelicals. I wasn't yet when I watched the movie for the first time. At the first time, I just was like, oh, they're debating, you know? But nowadays, this does feel like a conservative opinion, if that makes sense, compared to the stuff that we're seeing. I didn't think we were going to go down that route. And yet here we are.
I just normally when I watch fascist propaganda, it's the fun stuff like Top Gun and Cobra. Yeah, obviously Cobra. I mean, it's
Our favorite.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I genuinely love Cobra. It is such a weird film because it's fascist, but it's also just about how really weird Sylvester Stallone's brain is. Whereas this is how incredibly like weirdly patronizing and fascist the guy who wrote The Blue Lagoon is.
I legitimately did not remember. Okay, first off, the whole abortion thing, we get so little of it until the end.
Yeah.
So it feels very strange.
Oh, it's a slap.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we were enjoying the movie to a point.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there came this like turning point. It was exactly when Roy Scheider said, wait, how do you do it? Dooney.
Yeah.
It was so weird. It was like the whole movie changed at that point. But again, I always get ahead of myself because I always focus on one thing. Let's start at the beginning.
Well, this is
The beginning is Polish jokes. I thought there'd be more Polish jokes.
I mean, it's literally called Tomansky's Polish joke.
Yeah.
Is a bar at the very beginning. Yeah, man, that jumped right out at you, didn't it?
Yeah, man, it's right in my face.
With a big nose and everything.
It's the very first shot.
Oh man, yeah, and so like not only like it's called the bar that our character Monica, her parents own in Chicago, is called Tomansky's Polish joke, but they're giving her a send off where she is, they're holding her up in a chair. So, you're wondering, like, is she Jewish? Because they're doing that thing where they hold you in the chair and they parade you around. And I've only ever seen that at Jewish celebrations.
She's not, though.
Right, exactly. So that's very weird that they're starting the movie with that because...
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Isn't that a Czech thing, too?
Oh, I have no idea. I've been to Prague, but I have no idea if they... Like, I just know...
You mean you didn't go to Prague and they were just raising people up on chairs all the time?
I mean, that's easier to defenestrate them with, I admit, but no, I just... No, I did not see that when I was in, what would you call it now? Czechia? The Czech Republic? It's a little iffy. Somebody called me out once because I called it the Czech Republic and not Czechia. And I'm like, look, the last time I heard that was like what the fascists in that country were calling their... who knows? Look, the world is fascist now. I hate everything. Anyway, speaking of fascism, this movie... yeah, so that was a little off. And so we're introduced to first Monica, our girl genius who's going off to college. So they present her as working class.
Everyone's so proud.
Yeah. Oh, isn't it great? You finally one of us is going to college, and it's.
I wonder if we see the bartender that she mentions.
No,
I don't think so.
I doubt that.
All right.
Yeah.
Although she does say that her parents were super religious.
Yeah.
So it's possible that when she says she didn't tell anybody, she really didn't tell anybody.
That's true. Yeah, because we're jumping ahead.
We
find out much later in the film, and I mean that's fine. We find out much later in the film that she was raped as a teenager, a young teenager, I should say. When she was 14 and had an abortion, which becomes very relevant as the film goes on. Except kind of is and kind of, I mean, it is and it isn't. See, this film has a trope that I find very annoying. Because I see it in lots of places, of the woman is a cold fish who's trying to get ahead, and she's very headstrong and driven, and the guy is the fun guy to be around, and why doesn't she lighten up and want to be in a relationship with him? Like, you see that all the time, like whether you're talking about Cheers, whether you're talking about like just a lot of stuff. I've seen that trope before.
Yeah, but you know what? In Cheers, it seems meaner. Here, she feels more like a character, a real character, like a rounded character, a person.
Well, yeah, because Cheers is a comedy.
I know, but like, I guess what I'm saying is you can have somebody who is defensive without playing into those comedy tropes, and that's what we see here. We're not seeing like a.
See, I don't entirely agree. I feel like she is just doing like a common Hollywood trope of the straight-laced woman who is stuck with the loutish guy.
Do you think he's supposed to be a lout?
Loutish, not in the sense of the other guy who comes along, but more in the sense of I'm the fun guy who's more laid back and relaxed, and I can be goofy. Why can't you unwind, uptight woman?
I think that was the idea. I feel like Kirk Cameron doesn't pull it off.
Oh God, no. Yeah, he is definitely the weak link of this movie.
How sad is it that he's the weak link in this? And honestly, if it weren't for everyone else being so great, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah.
But there's something about his character that's like a little too much compared to how low key everybody else is.
It's the freaking accent.
Okay,
Lose
so
that
that's the thing. Okay, so a couple things. One, I actually just don't think he's very good as an actor anyway to begin with. Like, so he was never going to win me over, and that's leaving aside that I loathe him as a person, because there are people who I think are horrible human beings, truly awful people who I think are actually extremely talented.
Oh, until you got to the talented part, I thought you were going to say who are actually in this movie.
Well, they are actually. Oh, what a jump scare I had when the title credits are going and they have all the little, the actors who are coming up, and I see the name Dan Schneider, and I'm like, oh God, no, please.
I've brought you Dan Schneider twice now.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm
next to Yeardley Smith and
Moon Unit
Zappa. It just said Moon Zappa this time.
That's true.
Wait,
That's
is this the second time we've seen?
Who is she in this?
Yeah, that's the thing.
No, it was a different Zappa the other time. In Dream a Little Dream, it's Lala Sloman who was a Zappa.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know where she was in this movie. I mean, just one of the other girls,
one of the
but
debaters, I guess.
Does not stand out. Yeardley Smith, she shows up for one scene, and I don't
legitimately remember her speaking. So I don't know if this is cut or what.
The version we watched on Tubi might be edited. Like, I don't, not, but like,
and that's why you hire Yeardley Smith, because you remember her voice.
Exactly.
Whenever you hear it.
Like,
yes.
I think she was in, oh my gosh, now that we're talking about this, I think she's in the original, she speaks during the original, because we only saw her in the montage, right?
Exactly.
Right.
We never even heard her voice.
I think we see her talk when they're doing the, what's it called? To see how many people get in. I don't want to call them auditions.
I mean, they are. They're
guess,
auditions.
Yeah. I remember her speaking once because I remember going, oh my God, wait a second. That's a Simpson. And then wanting to hear it again and then watching the movie again so I could hear her speak to match it up. Because it's not exactly her speaking voice.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so weird to see her pop up in the opening credits, and she's really not in. But you know who is? Again, Dan Schneider. God, he just keeps coming back.
And he's the same guy.
Yeah, he's the same guy
except
as
without the blow-up doll.
God, in what was the other movie?
Happy Together.
Happy Together. Yeah, and he always plays basically the same guy, the comical douchebag. Well. I mean,
he wasn't head of the class, too.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, he had a type, and he is.
Go to your strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. If we'll call them strengths, sure. More like indictments, but all right. So this is a film about a group of college students on their debate team. You know, when you brought this film to me, I'm sure you didn't know, I actually did do debate in high school.
No clue.
And no, I don't usually tell people about this because that's like bragging about masturbating. I mean,
it's like
there's
being
nothing
the winningest collegiate.
You mean bragging about lifting cars?
Oh my God. This movie
What an insane metaphor.
I have never heard that in my life.
No.
Do you feel like you went on a journey with this movie? I didn't feel like it was like a whole year of I don't even, is it a whole year?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
they talk about it being in the spring.
I mean, who knows? Because it's all set in Malibu, so there's no such thing as time.
The debates at the end, they talk about them at the beginning and they're in the spring. So it's been most of a academic year.
Yeah. They're all supposed to be freshmen, except for Gar, who is Garson is the son of a senator, and his father has plans for him. So he's a little rich boy who really wants to be a writer. He does not want to be a lawyer or a politician, but of course that's what his father wants. This is the family tradition, and so part of the drama of the film is him wanting to break out of what his father wants and gets to be a writer. That's not a bad story. It's a story I've seen before. It's a story that happens in a film that came out the same year, in fact, in Dead Poets Society. Yep. And so, I kind of knew where his arc was going to go, unfortunately, just because it's a common trope. And I don't think it's badly done here, actually. I do think it kind of interesting what they do with his character in terms of, how much his relationship with Monica and how that unfolds, in that, this is something I think we've all seen happen in people's lives, right? Where, you start off as friends, but he wants something else and she doesn't want it. And that goes extremely badly.
I'm not sure that that's exactly the path for them. I think that the whole year he has been sort of obsessing about another life. Mm-hmm. And he talks about it early, where he says he's just using Monica as an example. But I think he creates this persona of her in his head about being like a nice girl, a good girl, a working class girl, everything that's different from what he is used to being surrounded by, which is like posturing people and phonies. And he talks about wanting to know what love is like. I want to say he's kind of a sociopath, but
well, he is.
Yeah, but not in watching a movie, he's evil kind of a sociopath. He has no moral compass whatsoever.
Well, because he's a rich boy, and that's the way he's raised, and it's raised all, and he goes into debate, and it's all about persuading people without, part of the the thrust of the film is. The thing about debate, about forensics, about the way that you do it is, and the way to get very good at it is, you have to be able to take both sides of an issue and argue it with conviction. And your own personal feelings are never supposed to really come into play. This is how you're supposed to be able to figure out both sides of the debate. You're supposed to be able to make both sides of the debate convincingly. You have to win people over. Then there are a lot of different types of rhetoric that you can use in order to do that. But you're never supposed to be emotionally involved, even when you use emotion to get people on your side. Debate is an inherently manipulative exercise. One of the foundations of how we come up with things like laws and society and civilization, it's all about, manipulating people, right? So he is raised to be manipulative.
Everybody is in this.
Well, everybody is, period. But
yeah, but everybody is very good at it and very charismatic at it.
Yeah,
I would say honestly, the thing that I liked the best in terms of how because it's almost like a sports underdog.
It is.
I mean, it is, yeah. But it's not as again cheesy or comedic or whatever.
Yeah,
but the way just the very brief introduction to Jamie Gertz's character Monica and how she debates when they're doing the auditions. She gives her argument, and then Roy Scheider's coach character tells her to switch, and she just immediately does it.
Opening his shoes.
I feel like that tells people more about debate than almost anything else we see in the movie, and I'm a little disappointed by that. I honestly was like, I'm going to learn so much about debate today that I've already forgotten over time.
I think that in the scene where Roy Scheider does the whole "my mom had an abortion" scene.
That's the only time we see him
I think those are the two.
Yeah, teaching.
For a movie, it's essentially talking about acting.
Yeah.
This is what acting is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, debate is the foundations of acting, of the law, just any type of persuasion with another person. This is being able to see all sides of an argument and how to use that and how to play to somebody, you're basically about reading your audience at the same time. It's like, okay, can I use logic to get this person? Logic doesn't work. All right, I'm going to use emotion. What do I want in the moment? How do I get that from that person? When you actually start to unpack how debate works, it is sociopathic, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I'm somebody who, I guess because I did it in high school, I have a tendency to, if somebody starts arguing something or starts saying one thing, my instinct is to automatically go, okay, what's the opposite of that? Because I'm just going to tear that apart.
No, really?
Shut up. I can't help it. I really can't. Do you know how often I stop myself from doing that? Because it is my primary instinct is to get into an argument with somebody about anything they said.
Your sister probably won't hear this episode,
No.
but I know she would point at the speaker hearing you say that. Like, yes! J'accuse! Finally!
My sister is so tired of me. I mean, I've got at least one trophy for being that annoying. Yeah,
I
can't imagine
Star
why
Trek Club, so like I had no idea that debate was so, I guess, theatrical.
Oh yeah.
Like it's really that theatrical. Like it isn't. It's almost ridiculous. You know, like
I mean, like to be fair, a bunch of like teenagers is not as compelling as a Hollywood movie.
sure, but you can be that theatrical.
Yeah.
Like, to me,
You have
to me that's so bizarre. I guess when you see debate on like Head of the Class, it's primarily about facts, being able to fight on facts, and
facts are very important. Don't get me wrong. You know, it depends on the type of debate you're doing and what you're trying to argue about. And the film does kind of allude to that to some extent, right? You know, what are you debating and what are you trying, you know, like, at what point do you have to appeal to emotion? At what point, you know, and I hate the idea of just appealing to emotion, but it is extremely useful when you make that sort of, you know.
That's the whole point of the movie.
Unfortunately, it is the whole point of the film. All right, so back to the film.
what film?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, because it's not that I don't want to talk about the film, because the film, okay, so one thing that occurred to me is, there's a lot of things about this that are very dated, very 80s. And
The music
is so, like, even the pop hits.
Forever young.
I want to be forever young.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, people. But so it's funny when you watch a film, and, you know, I'm noticing this more, you know, now that we're like almost 200 episodes in. It's interesting to me when I watch a film from like the 40s or the 50s and they are dated because of when they're from, but because I didn't grow up in that time period, I don't really think about it. And when I watch something from the 80s and I see what feels very dated now, and it feels dated in a way because I remember that time period and it didn't seem so dated then. It is really weird when you watch films like from 40 years ago plus and they feel dated now, but you remember that time period. Does that make any sense?
Yes, but do you know what kinds of things are doing that for you?
Sometimes it's acting style. You know, the acting style here has that slightly heightened thing that
I think
kind
we
of
called it
went
an
away.
after-school special.
Well, yeah, definitely. But like the music and just some of the musical scores can be very dated. It depends on who's doing. I mean, look, if it was like Jerry Goldsmith, it would still sound fine because he was just one of the best, and he was working at the time. And this is much more basic, I guess. No, yeah, the music is very dated, and that's fine.
There's like, you know, like there's the piano when like we're going to say something real. And
Yeah.
you know, there's like
it hits you.
It's
I was thinking
very after school special.
Yeah.
And I was thinking through the whole thing, what kind of musical cues would you put there? Would they just be a little more subtle?
That's the thing. There's nothing subtle in the way the music is used in this. Like it's just it's kind of an oppressive
The
score.
oddest choice for me is they have this like montage of debates.
Yeah.
And we're not really giving away anything in the plot here. The plot just goes all over the place. But
Yeah, I mean,
there's not much.
It's
to
a
it.
year in the life of college students in debate club.
Yeah.
But there's this debate. There's this montage of debates over, and Tutti Frutti is playing over it.
Yeah, of all songs, Tutti Frutti.
I have no idea why. I guess it's like to show the fun life of debate in college.
I guess. Well, it feels like about halfway through, they are showing you the funnier parts of debate.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's the eating your shoe and all this other stuff. But
I feel like there's just not enough of that.
no, there isn't.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a movie that is so much about debate still feels like it doesn't have enough about debate. I think because it feels like it sets itself up as a sports movie, and then by the end, it feels more like
It wants to be a weepy melodrama by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think the tone fits.
Like it wants to be Rocky, the Rocky of debate movies.
yeah.
And then it wants to be a romance, like a youth romance.
Here's the problem, because I love Rocky.
Yeah.
I do. I love that movie. If you want to make the Rocky of something, you need to have somebody who has sort of the weird loopy charisma of Sylvester Stallone, right? Kirk Cameron doesn't have that.
I thought he was super charming when I was a child.
I never really liked
The words coming out of his mouth are appalling as an adult.
But that's what, again, like Sylvester Stallone is a very conservative person and whatever. His politics are terrible, but I think he's very good on screen, depending on what it is.
Hey, I sat through Judge Dredd more than once just to listen to the Cocteau Twins.
Do you know how many times I've seen Demolition Man?
No.
Enough.
Okay.
You know what?
It's
I don't
good.
think I've seen Judge Dredd, and I love the Cocteau Twins. I should watch that now.
There you go. But the thing
Cure,
is,
I think, did a song for that too.
Oh, wow.
but so the thing is, I can watch people whose politics I hate. Like I think Mel Gibson is incredibly talented. He is an evil person. Okay, but I think he's incredibly talented. It's really weird. Like I will still watch Mad Max movies, right? I really think and at some point we're going to do like the Year Living Dangerously, all that type of
I think he
stuff.
was good in the 80s. I feel like in the 90s it went to his head.
Yeah, no, I think he was probably always...
Like with that Hamlet, I'm like, don't do this.
That's true. That is not a good Hamlet. But so the thing is, like, I could watch somebody who is very conservative, and I can watch movies that I think are probably very conservative, right? But this, he's got all of the gravitas of feathers. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And he has the worst accent I've ever heard
Do you think
in a
so?
film. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it.
remember-
First of all, it kind of it slips more than once. He slips out of it. He cannot hold on to it. But also,
Thankfully.
yes. But it's a fake Southern accent from nowhere. Like, I know people from Oklahoma. He does not sound like he's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I know anyone from Oklahoma and what they sound like, but I don't know.
Dan Wade of Wheel of Randy.
Oh, okay.
He's from Oklahoma. Kirk Cameron does not sound like Dan Wade.
No,
We love you, Dan.
We love you, Dan.
we do.
Do not watch this movie if you want to hear an Oklahoma accent. No, I'm serious. Like, I mean,
Do not watch this movie.
yeah. Well,
Would you literally, in a world filled with great movies to watch, would you tell somebody to watch Listen to Me? And
No.
who would that person be?
Roy Scheider, completists.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, because Roy Scheider's actually he's good in this.
He's completely fine.
He's yeah. I've never seen him be bad in something. I'm sure he is bad in things. He's not bad in this.
We have to watch Blue Thunder.
Hey,
Sure.
we were talking about how good the acting was in the beginning.
We were okay. So look, Jamie Gertz
we
is
started on the opening shot and then we just stopped.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the actual plot.
the plot is you have three people who come together at this college, two of whom are freshmen. One is played by Kirk Cameron, who comes from Oklahoma. He was son of a chicken farmer. Spent some time in juvie. Yeah, right. And I mean, come on, look at Kirk Cameron.
He's so soft.
Who is that kid that he's looking at?
I think he's sort of looking at a kid. Okay, so in the beginning of the movie, you're getting this sort of like montage of everybody heading out to college, and you see him with his very stoic father.
Played by Rance Howard, father of Ron Howard and Clint Howard.
And they go past the penitentiary.
Oh, is that what that was?
And
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
he
okay.
just sees himself in that kid. I legitimately didn't remember that. And I'm like, is it a friend from school? Is it his little brother? Because the guy looked way young. But also, these are all 30-year-olds playing 18-year-olds. So
Well, he was 18.
Who, Kirk Cameron?
Yeah.
That was a hard
that's
18.
wild.
He was 18 in
definitely-
this?
He was 18, had just converted.
Oh my God.
He was an atheist and became
Oh,
born
never try-
again,
oh,
like
boy.
this movie pretty much, because he was up for Say Anything, and he's like, no, I want
What?
to do this script. Yes, that Say Anything.
Say anything?
Yes,
I can't. Oh, Jesus Christ.
because he's like
He's the anti John Cusack. I mean, literally. I mean, John Cusack's also nuts now, but he's literally like the political opposite of John Cusack. That's very funny. But also, I can't. No, don't put him in Say Anything. He's a terrible actor.
So I know his age because he was born like the year before me. So like I was 18, and so he was 19 when this came out. I'm sure he was 18 when, and he converted when he was 18. So.
Dennis, so you're the same. We'll say you're the same age because you're
Yeah.
more or less. All right. All these kids in this college. All right. You would have been a freshman around the same time, right? Freshman when this came out. In fact,
Yeah.
these do not look like college freshmen, right? I mean, this is.
They looked like college freshmen.
No,
exactly.
They don't. Let me. Here's the thing. Look, I know that styles change, and you can go back and look at when.
Actually, I have to say there was this girl in my college, 1989. She basically looked like Monica. I mean, like
No,
Monica.
no, she does look young. She
Look,
looks,
there are a lot of
she-
people
yeah.
that look like Jamie Gertz. Joanna
Yeah.
Going is one of them. And
I don't know
they
who
look
that is.
exactly the same, and then they have the same initials. It's very confusing. That was supposed to be like a joke for people who know who Joanna Going is.
I don't.
And you don't, so it doesn't work. Never mind.
Okay. No, I was,
Leave it in.
no, Jamie
You're,
Gertz.
you're welcome, you people.
Jamie Gertz actually does kind of look her age here, I guess. You know, like she actually looks kind of like my cousin Erin, weirdly enough.
And I Own Sky and
Iron Sky, yeah, that, exactly. She's very much a look of young women in the late 80s, early 90s, yeah. But a lot of these people who are also supposed to be at this college, they look 30.
well, yeah.
I mean,
Schneider.
Dan Schneider. Well, look,
He probably, I don't
he
know.
probably
if he
was 30 and just creeping on, like, you know, never mind. They're all there to join the debate team because the idea is that they're all going to go on to become like lawyers, politicians. You have to be good at debate to be in those fields. And that's absolutely true, as we talked about.
And the thing is, when we first see Gar comes in this like this sports car, like I think it was like a 50s Corvette. And
Yeah.
and
Gar is the son of the senator. He's the rich kid.
it's like the classic, like, here's the rich kid. And I was like, oh, he's going to be the antagonist in this movie. And it's kind of not how it goes.
No, I appreciate that.
I do like how he's a character. He's just a character in this.
Yeah. So Gar and Kirk Cameron Tucker, they are roommates, and they are, you know, different from each other, of course, but you know, there isn't really the antagonism that you kind of expect in a movie set up like this.
And right off the bat, you see that Gar is the kind of person who shares everything that he has. He doesn't hold it over you. He doesn't care.
Sometimes.
He'll kick
but-
women out of his room to hang out with his roommate.
Yeah, that was funny though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fine. It was okay. It was a totally fine scene.
The last pair of breasts Kirk Cameron ever saw until or other than his way.
That might be true,
I
actually.
am sure
Well, he doesn't kiss.
I-
He's one of those actors.
Yeah, I am sure he insisted not to be there when that scene was filmed.
Oh my God. There's a bit of a sociopathy to him because he knows he's manipulating people all the time. And, you know, he just does things because he, as he says, he doesn't really know what love is and he doesn't know how to feel things. And that does create a sympathetic character. But, you know, where does that go in this film?
He doesn't say that till almost the end when
I
he's
know.
finally spilling his guts to Monica. And I think it's really interesting because all we've seen him do is like quote poetry and like hang out with some of the girls on campus who are super into that.
Yeah.
Not the poetry, just him.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that he doesn't talk about it through the whole movie about how people, he doesn't feel like he has a friend.
Right.
He says his only friend is his debate coach.
Yeah. Played by Roy Scheider.
Because Roy Scheider, why? Doesn't have any, like, I don't understand why he doesn't see that power dynamic, but of course, he's been groomed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you say who doesn't see the power dynamic, do you mean Gar?
Garson does not
Yeah,
see the power
yeah.
dynamic at all. He sees his friend Charlie, his coach who became his friend.
Well, he doesn't see it because, well, as you say, he's been groomed. He is young. I mean, the actor's not, but or maybe he is. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, he might actually be young, and he just doesn't look young because it's 80s fashion.
No, you said he looked like a Kennedy.
Well, no, I said he looks a bit like JFK Jr. because they're kind of grooming him, and so yeah, but his hair is very blow dried, isn't it? You know, he's got
His
like
teeth.
The teeth. Oh my God, right?
They were so much.
Yeah.
But he's so good at these like little, like the wink. I think it's really hard to pull off a good wink. And it just tells you right away that here's a character that doesn't really take anything seriously. And then you find out that he's actually like a serious guy who wants to have this like poet soul. Again, I'm cutting off the whole plot thing, but there's not much to say about the plot.
There really
Literally,
isn't.
they go to college, they debate in a montage, and then
And there's a budding relationship between Tucker, Kirk Cameron, and Monica, and Jamie Gertz. And, you know, it's one of these, again, I mean, I get kind of annoyed because she's the uptight woman and he is the fun-loving guy and he negs her a lot.
he does.
There is a lot of negging in this.
There's a lot of cute banter though too.
There are times where it gets a little too, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. Because she keeps saying, look, I just don't want to date anybody. And he won't leave it alone. And it comes across less bantering and more like, well, why won't you sleep with me?
To me, it didn't come off that way at all. It comes off to me like all of the these guys that are around her, which is Garson and Tucker, are like obsessed with trying to figure out her hidden depth or whatever. I don't think Tucker's like, you know, he's lifting cars, but he's not like pining over her. I think he's just like, all of them are like, what is this thing? Why is she so unattainable? The interesting, so I think it's because he's supposed to, you know, be representing that sort of like small town thing where it's like, you don't, he says at one point that he thought that women were the enemy in the battle of the sexes. That makes perfect sense to me because there are so many people that still believe that. However, there are also times that he is like play fighting with her that you literally can't tell if he is serious or not. Like when they are all, I don't know where they are, Charlie's place or something, and they're all like having a barbecue. Maybe it was like to celebrate whoever got in. He says something like incredibly nasty. Yeah. Oh, what was it? I wish I'd never heard of women's rights or something like that. Yeah. And they are so in the midst of essentially performing for the other debaters that you don't know if he truly believes that. Until the end when he says, I thought that women were the enemy in the battle of the sexes.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You're right in that you can't tell necessarily like how sincere anyone is being at times in this film because the whole idea is debate and debate about performance and it's about just manipulating people to whatever you're trying to get. And so, as you said, you don't know when he says that, is that a joke until we get to the end. So here's the thing. They're working their way up through all of these tournaments. Now the school is at like kind of the top level. So they all go off to New York for a big tournament. And while they're there, Tucker is trying to, you know, make some kind of move, not in a bad way, but he is trying to make a move on, when I say in a bad way, I'm comparing it to what comes later. Hold on. Let me finish.
I didn't say anything.
No. But he's trying to like kind of make a move on, hey, let's go get dinner. Let's kind of go on a date with Monica. And she's like, look, I can't do that. And then something happens where she changes her mind.
Because he says he lifted cars.
And she didn't know what that meant.
Well, nobody knows what that means.
It's not a thing.
Because it's just, nobody does. Dennis, let me ask you something. When you've been, how do I put this?
Terminal horniness.
Yeah. The way they explain this in the film is, well, when a guy has terminal horniness, he ends up lifting cars because he's just got to, this is his way to
relieve the ache in his balls.
Dennis, that's not how that works, right?
I didn't want to tell, I didn't want this podcast to be when I revealed this, but yeah, cars.
They're telling us the secret men's secrets.
I mean, it's such a weird...
I'd never heard of that before.
I have to tell you, everybody who's listening, how pink Dennis just got. It's great.
No, like, remember when we did the movie Hard Bodies?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of jokes about, like, swollen testicles because these guys are not getting laid.
Nobody was lifting a car in that movie.
No, wait, that's not lifting cars. That's eating cars. That's Rapture. Never mind.
Very different thing.
Yeah, they only eat guitars.
But, and it's, at the time I was just kind of like, look, I get the idea that like you want to get off, and so the joke is that you're retaining a lot. To which when I watch something like that, or when I watch something like this, I'm just like, well, don't you just go and jerk off? I mean, come on, like.
And they even talk about that in the first debate.
In the first debate, they mention that that like essentially it's the most effective form of birth control is abstinence, and if you.
I had such high hopes for the movie when they start that debate because they're talking about the AIDS crisis, and I just thought, this is going to be deeper than I thought.
No, it's a kiddie pool.
No, it goes all over the pool.
Yeah.
It ends in the kiddie. I feel like it started deeper than it ended because it had an agenda, I guess.
Oh, God, it does have an agenda. It
has an agenda of pulling you in to watch like 3/4, maybe even more of a normal movie. And then it's like, have you ever thought that maybe we're being a little irrational about legalizing abortion?
Okay, we are getting to that point because we still have to get to the big emotional thing that happens in this.
Yep.
So they're in New York, and so she changes her mind, knowing just how horny Tucker is for her. She goes and gets all dressed up and teases out her hair, and she looks really good, and she thinks she's going to go and surprise him with dinner. And of course, he is out wandering the streets of New York City in Times Square. Does he ever get laid doing that? No, of course not.
He
this is Kirk
actually
Cameron.
lifts a taxi.
He lifts a taxi up, but I'm sorry, you're in Times Square in the 80s.
I mean, I think he wanted to be, that's what he originally wanted to do. He wanted Monica to go with him down to Times Square. And she said, no, thank you, because she was tired. And he said, why don't we go to the bar? And she was like, no, I'm still too tired. And he was like, okay. So since he doesn't have Monica at the bar, he goes into Times Square, and she's like, he must be at the bar.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, this guy is from the smallest town with the biggest ambitions. He wants to be president one day.
So you go to Times Square, pick up a hooker, and get it done.
I don't know that he's a virgin.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying it's so funny that there's
that
this movie is about
lift
sex.
lift a car.
He'd rather lift a car than pay somebody for.
So wait, did he not, like, when...
Were you going to say the bimbo scene?
Yeah, when Gar said, in 60 minutes I can get you laid.
I'm sure he got laid, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. No, I don't think the character's a virgin. So the big thing that happens is, because Tucker is out reliving Taxi Driver, she instead ends up with Gar and, have a few drinks, and it's all very fun. They've never had, like, a romantic moment before. They've just been friends. There's a little bit, there's not really much of a triangle.
She ducks away. Yeah, and that's really interesting, because Gar's had his own journey through this whole thing that we have talked a little about, but not the thing that actually puts him emotionally where he is.
Which is that he wants to get out of debate. He doesn't want to go and become a lawyer. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff that his father wants. He wants to be a writer. And so, we mentioned that the only person he's really friendly with is the debate coach, Roy Scheider. He's written a play, and he wants Scheider's, opinion on it. And first of all, that's an uncomfortable scene. One, as somebody who has, done play reading for people, you don't read somebody's work in front of them. You never do that. You give that to them, and then you let them go home and read it and come back to you. So that's number one. So, this is
They're
on
not lit people, though.
No, but
They're
like this is
debate people.
But this is on him for sitting there and reading it in front of the kid. You never do that. But he won't give an answer as to whether it's a good play or not, or whether he should drop out and do his own thing. And he's manipulating the kid the whole time. It's just
And part of that isn't because he's a jerk who wants this kid in debate because the kid's really good. It's because the father is putting a lot of pressure on the college.
Yeah.
And a lot of money in people's pockets.
And on Colonel Sanders.
And on Colonel Sanders from Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Keep him going on this path that's going to lead him eventually. I mean, he says he's going to be president of these United States,
Yeah. He's not in a good place, obviously.
I would have voted for him over Tucker, though.
Gar and Monica, they have a few drinks, and they're very friendly, but not in like she's never flirting with him, right? Mm-mm. But she looks good, and they dance and stuff. And then they go to split up for the night, and he's like, well, come on in and we'll listen to some music, whatever. And, remember, they're supposed to be young. She's supposed to be 18. He is, we'll say 20, 21, something like that. They're young people. And I get that, there is, when you are a sober adult and somebody says, come into my room and we'll listen to some music, your thought would be, no, girl, don't do that. He's not going to, even though, you have until this time never had a romantic interaction with him. This is obviously big R romance, the way that you're dressed and all the rest of that, right? That as an adult, you kind of go, it is not her fault what happens at all. I'm not trying to say that at all.
Oh, I didn't think you were.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Sorry. I realize I'm kind of tripping up on my words.
If you're saying that she's missing hints.
She's missing hints, but he's not giving hints either.
No, he's not. Well, I think the difference is he's not giving her a lot of hints, but also, has he ever gone into a room with a woman and not had sex with her before?
True.
Has she ever gone into a room with a man with any sort of sexual intentions? No. So both people are coming with their own sort of concept of what happens when you go be in a room together. But so far, the most that she and Tucker have done is hug and almost kiss.
Right.
So the idea that she would be walking into this room, and they all know that she doesn't date.
Right, exactly. This has come up many times.
And he is sort of fascinated by this concept because he is fascinated by her as this ideal girl somehow.
Right.
I think he really likes that she's, smart and everything. which is interesting because he hangs out with all these like ditzy acting girls. And the question is are they really ditzy? He's not sure. He doesn't know who anybody is because he thinks that they all just act.
All right. But so the thing that happens is she says, look, I'm tired and I've had too much to drink and I'm going to leave. And so he
decides to open his heart to her and tell her every thought that he's had in the past semester.
You know, that doesn't have to lead to attempted rape.
Yeah.
But it does in this film because that is something that can happen, you know, unfortunately. And yeah, so now you have a scene of watching him trying to have sex with her. When she refuses, he hits her.
Well, let's be clear. All he does is like kiss her.
No, I know. But then I'm more worried about the violence part where she tries to get away.
So she immediately starts freaking out, like beyond a level that he can comprehend.
Sure.
Like, why is she acting like I just whatever? And then he hits her. It almost has that sort of like smacking somebody into their senses kind of, but no,
it's
that is not what he's doing. He gets upset.
Yeah. He's mad that she rejected him.
Is he though?
Yes.
Like he is, but he's also like drunk as hell.
Well, no. Look, I'm not. Look, this is when I say
again, we're not apologizing for his actions.
We're not. But at the same time, like, I don't think he is like a sociopathic serial rapist or anything.
Yeah.
I think what his actions are actually extremely common. Mm-hmm. This happens a lot.
And also, I think this is how he's used to things ending with a girl in his room.
And I think a lot of girls are probably perfectly fine because he's an attractive man and whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is, you know, we call it date rape and it is. It's also extremely like, I don't know. Now you're getting into kind of the murky world of, you know, relations between people.
Yeah, so there's a huge difference legally between sexual assault and rape.
Yeah.
And I don't like those legal distinctions.
Okay.
I don't know if I've talked about it on here before.
Probably not.
I know. I've talked about so many other things.
Don't talk about anything you don't want to talk about either.
Oh no,
like,
absolutely, that's fine. I was just thinking, like, every time you say it's attempted rape, I'm like, but it really isn't, because he doesn't do anything to like. And it's these sorts of mental gymnastics that we do to try to define these things that makes me annoyed that we do it at all.
Okay, yeah.
Like, as far as I'm okay.
No, explore that. That's interesting.
Yes, I'm about to get graphic for anybody who needs to skip ahead.
Yeah, no, look, this episode will have a disclaimer, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a person that I knew who was accused of constantly trying to turn PIV into anal sex.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
And had done it so many times that it seemed to stop being a slip and slide accident or maybe and I gotta know, so I stopped. Mm-hmm. No. It felt like a thing in a row. And it was all very clear to everyone that was so bad, like so bad, that it was absolutely a consent violation. And then, not that many years later, while I still knew all the people involved, I was dating someone who kept trying to essentially like do a hand version of the same thing.
Okay.
Like, his hand was always trying to get there. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that with you. I don't know you well enough. I don't trust you. We haven't gotten that level of whatever. You know, I was trying to be like, maybe this is something that we can do in the future, but for right now, I need to set a boundary. Mm-hmm. And that he just did not stop. And he would tell people, you know, he would say it to me. He'd say it to whenever he was trying to defend himself, I guess. He would say something like, I don't have control of myself when I'm that turned on or whatever, just something ridiculous like that. And for a really long time afterwards, I was really confused about what had happened to me. Mm-hmm. And I've been raped. I was raped when I was 15 years old. So this movie, we have some things to talk about at the end too.
Sure, yeah.
But because of those weird legal like I literally I'm polyamorous. So like I was in a polycule. I talked to people about this when I started to feel weird. And I was like, do you think that this is rape? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then what is rape? Like, does it really have to be like a penis and a vagina, like how is it rape when it feels so similar? The power dynamics are the same. The coercion is the same. All of those things are the same. So when we talk about all these things about legal definitions and like what is sexual assault and what is, I still open my mouth and say, well, gosh, Mary, that's sexual assault. That's not rape. And it's ridiculous because if the intent is there, the violence is there, then why do we have to, I mean, we're talking about a movie about debate.
Right.
And, you know, at the end, they're debating things like, what about rape? What about incest? What about the life of the mother and all these other things? And that's what the law does. Mm-hmm. They play around with words over and over again until they get to a part where everybody feels somewhat okay to make that sort of level of decision for the entire country.
Right.
But I'll tell you right now, it does not feel significantly different to be sexually assaulted than it does to be penetratively raped.
But the problem is you're talking about emotion. The reason that the law draws a distinction is because you can't write laws around how people feel. That doesn't make the feelings unimportant or unreal.
But it's
hard to legislate people's at least in terms of the criminal code. It's extremely hard to write laws around what the emotion you're going through versus physical evidence of something.
Well, that's not what I'm asking for. What I'm really saying is, if a person is trying to penetrate another person, why are we making a legal distinction between a penis and some fingers? And why are we so inclined to say attempted rape when we watch a guy go to kiss a woman or maybe like kiss her shoulder or something and get pushed away? When we don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying this whole thing is so murky. First off, we don't talk about it enough. And because we will not create a good shared language about it, in part because the feelings are so significantly different from the things that we have to do if we ever, say, go to the police about it.
I don't have a good answer for you.
I wasn't asking for
No,
one, really.
but I mean, but you're raising some interesting questions. Why is there a legal distinction between the two we'll say the two implements? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I honestly, I couldn't tell you. My degree's in English, not law.
Mine too. Well, Monica talks about this at the end.
Yeah.
And
well, we're going to get there.
Yep.
We're going to get there.
Yep.
So after the incident, however we want to label it, because I don't know what else to call it.
I mean, it's an assault.
It's an assault. It is an assault because he hits her and she bleeds.
Oh, that blood on her teeth.
Yeah.
That hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Also, that as far as like that makeup goes, that was pretty good blood makeup, actually. That happens and she runs away from him and he goes after her. At the same time, Tucker, Kirk Cameron, is coming back from his sojourn wandering around New York City and catches her, and she sorry, I'm trying to remember the exact sequence of what happened. It doesn't really matter. The point is, basically, he puts two and two together because he sees Gar run off. She runs off.
She's frozen again.
She's frozen.
She keeps having these very, like, if you know kind of responses.
Yeah.
Where she's like fleeing, like literally running from nothing.
Well, is it nothing?
At a certain point, it was nothing. Yes,
Yeah.
He doesn't follow her out of the hotel or anything.
No,
like
you're right. You're right. But I mean,
but she keeps running because her body doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And then when Tucker finds her and holds her, she has to be held for a moment before she even can be in her mind. And then you watch her like disassociate there's a, what are they called? The horse cabbies or whatever.
A horse carriage.
Yeah. So they hire that. And again, okay, a thing we didn't talk about was the money thing, how they're both poor.
Yeah.
How they both are on full scholarships and they don't have a lot of, the fact that he pauses when the carriage driver says it's $40, that is such good little character work.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I loved that.
Like, there's some fun stuff in here about money. Not fun stuff, but
Realistic stuff.
realistic stuff. Yeah. You know, I mean, granted, you know, when they say, oh, that computer is $5,000, but the bottle of champagne is $20, but 20 is a lot of money. And I'm like, oh, I guess $20 was a lot of money back in 1989.
I mean, shrimp fried rice was like $3.
I know it's so weird when you think about what money was back then, and I
This
really
is how we know we're old.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that and the arthritis. But
Yeah. So they get back to the hotel.
So they get back to the hotel. He puts two and two together, and he goes after Gar, and it's just like, "Yo, what exactly did you do to her?" And they kind of have this whole confrontation of not just that, but I want everything you have. No, I want everything you have because I have all this pressure on me. Oh, but you have all this money and you can get whatever you want. And so basically it's just kind of, that's sort of a confrontation. And, as they're having this fight in the street, Tucker falls into the street and there is a car slowly coming towards him.
Was it that slow?
It was pretty slow. That car could have easily stopped before. Like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of the filmmaking, it's not like the cars were running that fast.
Actually, that car was going slow, but he said, "Oh, that's an Okie. I'm going to run that one down."
Oh. So
now I understand where Mary gets the rage.
yes, thank you. So Gar decides to push Tucker out of the way so that he doesn't get hit by a car and instead sacrifices himself and dies nobly in the street.
I can't believe you haven't seen Cruel Intentions.
I have not seen Cruel Intentions. But dude, the point of this show is all the movies I haven't seen.
Yeah, but Cruel Intentions is too late for you to do.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's
At some
my
point we
feelings.
might start bleeding more into the 90s, but I don't want to yet. I like sticking with the 80s.
Oh no, you've got a huge. I mean, you still have to watch Over the Top and Disorderlies.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And Breaking.
Warlock and Witchboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even seen Legend yet.
There are so many movies with just what's his name? I used to have such a crush on him, so of course I think he ended up gay. The guy from Warlock.
I have no idea who that would be.
They know.
Anyway,
The listeners,
you
they
mean,
know.
He was in. We've seen him a couple times.
He was in Vibes.
Yeah, he's in Vibes.
He was in
blonde
Boxing
hair.
Helena. Did you see Boxing Helena?
The one that the one
How
that
have you not
passed
seen-
Julian Sands.
Julian Sands.
Julian Sands was gay?
I don't know. I just assumed because everybody I liked when I was young was gay.
I don't think he was gay.
Really?
No.
I don't think
Then
so.
why
either,
did I?
but
Who am I thinking of?
He is, I think, in Naked Lunch, but
He's in Naked Lunch?
he is.
Yeah, we gotta watch that.
Oh my God, we do have to watch Naked Lunch.
Okay, look, back to the film.
Yeah, can we cut the part where I thought he was gay?
Yeah, well, no, we'll cut all that conversation.
Thank you.
So yeah, Gar is dead, and since he was the...
Oh, he hits his neck on the Oh,
You know what? You know how I just praised the movie for the blood on her teeth? They didn't do any blood here at all. They could have made him
He
look
did.
so
He had
bad.
to come out of his. Well, yeah, they
Yeah.
could have made him look really bad, but he just has it
should have
coming
looked
out of
more
his
messed
ears.
up. There should have been blood on the street and everything. Like I'm just saying the way he hit his head on that sidewalk.
There should have been blood
There should have been
pouring out.
brains.
Oh no, thank you.
This was more like a 1930s death.
It's totally, absolutely.
It's very interesting.
So yeah, he's
But
dead.
at least he doesn't say anything.
No, I appreciate that.
I
He's
really
just dead.
appreciated that. He was just dead.
Yeah, just glassy-eyed and dead.
Well, he's alive enough to see Roy Scheider at the end. He looks up at him. Remember?
Yeah, I
that's
trust
fine.
you. That's
That's
fine.
fine.
Whatever.
Yeah. But it's his father figure, and
You're the one with the daddy issues.
yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying that's kind of what hinged the fight is when he said, "Actually, your coach is lying to you too."
That's true.
That's
You're right.
true.
And
they
that's
were
where
both
it really.
hitting hard on
That's
that
a good
one.
point.
Yeah.
So with Gar now dead, they are the team left who can potentially go on to the big tournament, which is
We find this out on the green screen for some reason.
Yeah.
The weirdest part of the movie. I still think I'm right.
yeah, I think you're right. It's got to be a green screen. It looks very strange. There is
No, I meant the thing with where the crane shot comes in.
Oh, and it's wobbly?
It's so wobbly compared to everything else the movie has done. I think they legitimately set out to make that scene with a beautiful crane shot, and then they saw how wobbly it was getting, and they're like watching her hair fly in the breeze, and they're like, we're gonna have to do this in a studio.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's this entire scene that takes place outdoors on a pier, and they're getting news that they're going to be selected to go argue in front of the Supreme Court in this debate team thing. But it's such a weird scene because they have got to have filmed part of this outdoors and then just switch to green screen the whole time.
The whole background just gets like super flat.
Yeah, and the lighting is all wrong, and like the sound is all wrong. Everything about that scene looks wrong, and I just look at that and I think, why couldn't you have just decided to film it indoors instead? Just cut it, just re-storyboard that one scene. It is 1 30-second scene. Just why leave it looking so flat and ugly?
Yeah, I don't know, but her body language is so good. The way that she's just like holding herself as if
Sure.
she is. Oh my god.
Sure,
good.
okay, but I'm just saying, cinematically, it looks like garbage.
It did. I never noticed it. On a 80s TV, you don't really notice as much. So maybe that's kind of just it.
Yeah.
Was like, hey, this looks great.
It looks great if it's 1990 and you're watching USA Network.
It could have been Lifetime.
So yeah, now they're going to go on to the biggest show of all. They get to go in front of the Supreme Court. The opposing team is
judges.
5 of the judges. The opposing team is the Harvard debate team, and they have to argue about abortion.
Which we knew.
But the thing is...
Because Peter DeLuise tells us how it all works.
Peter DeLuise, the son of Dom DeLuise.
Such a waste in this movie.
They barely use him.
I just want to know how he got on that. The only time they show him doing something other than goofy is in the montage.
Here's the thing. So he's on this debate team, but his character is a big, beefy, blonde guy who's not very smart. Like they specifically use him to explain to the audience how debate works, and it's just like, how did this guy pass auditions to get on the debate team if he doesn't know the difference between affirmative and negative and all this stuff like that?
Well, no, that's not what happens. What they're doing is
they're explaining for the audience.
Yeah, but
and
they're not explaining positive, affirmative, and negative. They're explaining why abortion is backwards.
No. What I'm saying is affirmative versus negative in terms of the debate, so that the argument presented to the teams is Roe versus Wade goes too far, that as a law it doesn't work, right? Why? And so the affirmative is Roe versus Wade is a bad decision. The negative would be, no, Roe versus Wade is a good decision.
And it is confusing for people who don't know debate, but why is this beefy dude doing it?
Well, yeah, exactly. So why do they have this character who is supposed to be on the debate team, which means he's very good at this, be dumb for the audience?
I just figured it out.
Very poorly. I think it's just a bad idea on the part of the screenplay. Why?
Peter DeLuise needed to keep a SAG card.
Yeah, that might be true. But no, it's really weird because the only time they show him in the montage of a debate, it's like he's holding the flag over his shoulders.
He grabs the flag out of the little stand.
Total meathead. This guy was the QAnon shaman. I mean, he looks like he's going to storm the Capitol.
Okay, but I think what he's supposed to represent is the emotional side of debate.
That's fine, but look, I'm just saying, as somebody who did debate, this guy's not smart enough to do debate.
Maybe he also has a congressman as a father.
Yes.
And that's just how he got
that
in.
congressman is Josh Hawley. I'm just saying.
I know.
Where was he on January 6th? Anyway, so they go up in front of the Supreme Court, and there is a coin that gets flipped because, again, earlier in the film, the idea is you have to be able to take either side of the debate. And earlier in the film, she is pro-abortion, and she is very upset because Tucker is anti-abortion. And again, as we said, we're not sure how much of that is kind of playing to, we're supposed to be arguing, and how much of it is sincere. And of course, we find out, no, it's sincere. Tucker is very conservative. And of course, this is Kirk Cameron, so he is very conservative. And so she does not want to be on the same team with him through much of the film because they have very diametrically opposed values, and she is pro-choice, and she is, women's lib and the rest of it, right? Until now, finally, the coin is flipped, and they have to take the side of Roe versus Wade has gone too far.
I think they already knew that, though, didn't they?
No, they didn't know until the coin flips.
Until
the coin flips.
Oh, wow.
They have to
Against Harvard.
Against Harvard.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. What's interesting about debate is you have to be prepared for either side. Sometimes when you do forensics, you go up and debate one side, and then you have to go up and debate the other side. Mm-hmm. So that's normal that they would be that prepared. But the film exists specifically to have them argue why abortion is bad.
They do not argue that abortion is bad.
Yes, they do.
They argue that it should go back to states' rights.
No, that's what the argument against Roe versus Wade is.
Oh, that's
The
true.
film's argument is that abortion is bad because it damages women's souls. Yes. That is what the film is saying, because I pulled a couple of quotes. All right. What's
Okay, here's the thing. What you need to understand before Mary starts reading her quotes is that at the end of the debate, they're losing. They're blatantly losing. And the coach tells them that they have to win it on emotions.
Yeah.
All through this movie, when people have talked about emotion, they've either been lying or they're using that emotion to manipulate. The end of this, I think, is, I mean, I agree with Siskel and Ebert. The end of this is very muddy and unclear as to where the movie really, truly lies, because through the whole movie, they have been muddy about all this. Like you said, the way that they're supposed to be.
Through the rest of the debates, as we're shown clips, they can't make a logical scientific argument for why abortion is wrong, because all of their arguments about it's being used as the only form of birth control now, that's not true. That it's, physically harmful to the mother, that's not true. Like they have all these arguments, and Harvard's able to slap it down each time because they've got facts on their side, frankly.
Yeah.
So,
At one point, like Kirk brings up this this study, it's like, well, this study like shows these numbers, and then Harvard immediately comes up and says, oh, this study was proven wrong in this other article, and they have like chapter and verse and everything. It's
right.
Yeah.
So scientifically,
Smarmy
legally,
East Coast liberals.
yeah. Them.
so since they can't make a decent logical argument against Roe versus Wade, against abortion being legal specifically, because that's another thing that kind of annoys me. The argument with Roe versus Wade isn't that abortion should be legal because it's abortion, but it has to do with private, it has to do with, how do I explain it? Maybe I won't get into a whole thing about like the actual legal basis for Roe versus Wade. In part, it's this idea that you have a private concern between you and your doctor for a medical issue, and this is not something that's to be legislated with the states. And anyway, I'm not going to...
I mean, they do talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that level of... It's slightly different, but they do talk a lot about abortion from multiple perspectives, which I was a little surprised by it.
But so what gets me in, they can't come up with a logical argument, so they have to come up with an emotional argument for why abortion is a problem, right? So they have Monica tell the story about how when she was 14, she was raped and she had an abortion. And she has been tormented by that fact ever since. Not because of the rape, is what the film says. It's not the rape, it's the abortion that is torturing her.
That's not what she says.
I disagree.
The literal words out of her mouth, as close to them as I can get, an hour later or whatever, is, I thought for a really long time it was just the rape, but it turned out it was also the abortion. To me, that is not the same thing. As someone who was raped in an abusive relationship, who was raped and who ended up having an abortion, but not as a direct result of the rape, it was just with the rapist, because I was a dumb kid. I completely understand that statement, and okay. I think it is incredibly hard, especially because we know that she comes from probably a Catholic Polish family, and we know that her parents are religious. It is incredibly hard to differentiate those feelings from two major things happening to you while you are so young. I was 3 weeks past my 15th birthday when I was raped.
Right.
And then I had an abortion several months later.
You okay?
I was counting the months. It was 5 or 6 months later. Yeah. Yes. I have to disagree with you on that one. And it's 90% her wording. Mm-hmm. And it's 10%, I've been there, that is the perfect wording to say, which is that it is incredibly hard to deconstruct which parts of it. For a really long time, I thought I was fine with the rape and a mess from the abortion. And that wasn't true. Like, that rape affected everything that happened to me. The abortion Honestly, not really. For a while it did. My family is Catholic, Irish Catholic, but they are exceedingly liberal. And it wasn't them that I was getting all these messages from. It was all the books we were reading, like Maeve Binchy, like Irish books. Those characters are having abortions in a place where it is not okay. And they are feeling all this shame. And of course, I, being a young person reading it, am internalizing all of that. And so between like this movie and those books, when it happened to me just a couple years after I first watched the movie, because I remember watching it, I want to say 8th grade, and then being raped at the start of 10th grade, I would say that I had taken in so many of those messages, it is almost impossible to separate everything.
So you
were going to read some quotes. Go ahead.
Well, now this is an interesting example of debate using emotion, because
Mary, shut down.
Well, that's the thing. I don't at all disagree with you or the film that a woman can be emotionally affected by having an abortion. Absolutely. Where I get angry with the film is the idea of using that to change the law, because that's what the film's doing. That's what the film is arguing.
But you are saying that debate, and by extension, law itself, is a thing where we use both logic and emotion. That's what the movie's saying as well.
Yeah.
That is how laws are made.
I know.
You can't take people's feelings out of it. There's no perfect world where we can all be logical enough to not make decisions based on people's actual feelings. I mean, if we did that, would rape even be the trauma of rape is what we are more interested in than the act.
Depending, yeah. No, you're right. Look, what I'm saying, okay.
Darn, I was hoping she would take another couple seconds so I could go get some more water.
Here's the thing. Look, to what extent is the law... I'm trying to think of what my argument is. No. Well, because here's the thing. Like,
I'll get the little papers and give you your 2-minute warning, your 3-minute warning.
Well, because I was focused on what I find the film annoying because... Now, granted, it warns you that it is manipulating you by the nature of what it is.
Yeah.
But what it's manipulating you to is outlawing abortion. I don't like that because now we live in that world.
Yeah.
We live in the world that the movie wants.
No,
yes,
I think
we do.
I said this earlier. I think we live in a worse world where the movie wants better.
Yeah, but with the maybe the movie,
and you know what they don't even debate in there that people have been arguing for the past couple of years? 3rd trimester abortions, a thing that does not exist.
They actually kind of bring up the fact that that doesn't even happen.
Well, they
in the
talk
film.
about it They talk about second trimesters being such a small percentage.
Yeah.
But there's no...
well, because nobody even thought of that until like the last couple of years when some...
This is 1980s view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't 2000s.
Yeah,
view.
it's kind of funny to think the 1980s, which were, in a lot of ways a very conservative decade.
Yes.
But even then, it felt like people hadn't entirely lost their minds, even in Reagan's America.
A huge part of that, I think everything changed in evangelicalism with 9/11. And I think there was such a push. I'm like, even when you think about all the televangelists in the 80s and the sort of power, like even how Clinton, a Democratic president, was always talking about like his faith and whatever, all these things that get you. It was it seems so centrist now. All of it. Every single bit of it feels like there's an actual middle in a way there doesn't anymore. But that wasn't what you were going to do. You were going to read me some quotes. Go ahead.
I was going to read you a couple of things why I don't like the way that they're appealing to emotion here. All right. Because I think her story is absolutely representative of how I'm sure a lot of people have gone through what she goes through. Right? I don't think there is anything false in that. What I find false is the conclusion that she is drawing from it to use as the argument. Now, the argument then that she uses is because this is so such an emotionally fraught issue, this needs to be taken away from us, out of our hands. This is how I read that. Essentially, that abortion is just so painful a thing to go through, and it's not fair to make us go through it. She even says at one point, I had an abortion, I would have it again, but I don't think this should be allowed to happen. That's how.
Is that what she says?
That's what she says.
Be allowed to happen?
Essentially, that.
Well, so here's the thing: the side that she is debating,
right,
isn't whether or not. It's not
But
whether
see-
abortion should be legal or not. It is about whether the Supreme Court had the right to create the legislation that made it.
But see, this is where
federal law.
But this is where the movie falls apart in terms of being
the
a
movie
debate.
absolutely falls apart. The fact that they win, sorry for spoiling this for you, but they win the goddamn debate. It doesn't make any sense. They lost on facts, and their emotional arguments are jumbly, to be kind.
Yeah.
Even he does it, he wraps it up and whatever, and then he starts talking about how we should have an education program, and I'm like,
Not only that, not only does he argue that we should have here's things he says in his wrap up, because like she gives her whole thing and then he has to give the wrap up. So, she has this very emotional and it is effective. She tells a very effective story.
Oh, she's so good at it.
But she is not the person to wrap up, like she gives her.
But basically, she's the one, like, it seems like a slam dunk for Harvard. She knocks it off kilter with her.
Essentially by crying on the stand.
Yeah.
No.
Not just on television.
Yes.
Yeah.
In front of.
And here's the thing. On the one hand, I believe that the character believes that her story is important enough to tell, and it is. I also think she is, the character, smart enough to know she's manipulating everyone by telling this story, or she wouldn't be telling it.
Right.
Like she
know
feels
what?
her emotions, but she's manipulating everybody. So like, let's not give her too much credit. She is using her own trauma to win a debate.
But I
Mary.
feel
Go
like
ahead.
it would be a better movie if at the end he said, that happened to you, and if she said some of it.
Right. Yes.
Something like that.
That would have been a good movie.
It would have
That would
been.
have been a great ending.
I
But
would
that's not what
like
Kirk wanted to do.
everyone to know that the only reason that I am here right now is because I have surgery in 2 weeks. And we were joking in the Discord about how this is a pity recording.
No, it's not a pity recording.
I know, but Tim said, "What do I have to cut off to?" Is great to get on the Mary versus the movies.
Well, what
But
do you
I
got?
just want you to know that when Mary starts talking about making a emotional, manipulative emotional argument, that is literally what I did when I said, "Can I be on the show again?" It might be the last time. I am having a small surgery. It's still a surgery,
It
though,
is still
and there's
surgery.
still anesthesia, and I'm still very bad at anesthesia, but I probably won't die. However, I was being emotionally manipulative, but I was joking about it mostly. It got me on here, doesn't it? So we're good.
But so here's the thing: his wrap-up speech. This is where the film reveals its fascist heart.
Oh, it's so bad.
Because his argument, first he makes an argument about, I came to this college and I thought, that rich people were the enemy and women were the enemy between men and women, right? Yep. And he says, but then I found out the rich people, they're also good people and they have problems just like anybody else, and being poor is no excuse for bad behavior.
That was the
That's
worst.
a fascist argument.
It is.
Like, that's literally like because I'm not just saying like, I hate things that are fascist or it's right wing. No, that's literally a fascist argument, is the idea that the rich and the poor have their proper places. The rich are good, that like they're essentially like arguing against, it's an argument against class consciousness, right? That's literal fascism. And because then he argues that the problem with the country, the whole country, isn't just that we have abortion, but we've lost our values in terms of work and family and the founding fathers, and now we're a country obsessed with consumerism, and it's easy to get a divorce, and we're spend all our money on credit cards, and this is a quote, are abusing our freedoms.
Yes.
That is a fascist argument.
It is.
Everything up until the rest of the movie, I thought, like, this is okay. This is like kind of a standard drama, right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as he comes up with that final argument, I wanted to kick your television into the next room.
Please don't do that. It's
I
like
won't.
it's old and I need it
I
because
know.
it's not as much as the new TVs.
I would never actually do it, but man, I was so mad.
I just got a Roku.
The boys from Brazil felt less fascist. And they had Joseph Mengele. Man, I hate Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the last couple minutes of the movie are the worst.
They suck. They suck
They're
so
so
much.
bad.
I hate it.
I really wish they didn't win, because they
Yeah.
do. They win by one vote.
They win, and it's so...
Oh, it's courtroom drama-y.
Yeah, but also it's kind of...
bad.
It's such a bad... Like, it's so badly written for why they win.
Oh, yeah, because there's a woman on there who's supposed to be liberal, and she's like, oh, I believe in Roe versus Wade, but also we do need to get back to values.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I guess she's supposed to be, was it Sandra Day O'Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So she's liberal-ish.
Liberal.
Sandra Day O'Connor was never liberal. She might be
Yeah.
libertarian, but she was never a liberal. She's just a woman.
Yeah.
So,
She's just a woman.
well, no, I mean, I think that's sort of, an
Well,
important...
she was what, brought in by Reagan,
Yeah.
but she tended to lean center.
Well, what is center anymore?
Yeah, I
What
know.
is right? What is left? I mean, look, you know...
Made this argument.
Center back then would be communist now,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and then you talk to some actual communists, and they will hang you for that.
Of course.
But no, but look, so this film, it's weird because I think like most of it's kind of not, it's a decent drama with some decent acting, except for Kirk Cameron, and like it's a standard college young people story, and that like
It's exactly like Happy Together.
it's better. Than, it's much better than Happy Together.
But it has a lot of the same
Oh, it
stuff.
does. It does
It's just
have-
replaced debate with acting, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think Patrick Dempsey is a better actor than Kirk Cameron.
What if you swap them?
Oh, that actually could be interesting.
that
But
would be weird.
here's the thing: Patrick Dempsey's character in Happy Together is a weirder person than Kirk Cameron's character in this.
Yeah.
He's weird. The Happy Together again. I didn't like that movie, but I understood that they were kind of just remaking Cabaret.
Mm-hmm.
So
But without all the important parts of Cabaret.
exactly, without all the good stuff. But I understood what they were doing.
But Happy Together didn't have as many good supporting roles. Like
That's the
this
thing.
one really does have a lot of good.
And we
supporting-
didn't even
Yeah.
talk about Donna and what's his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a subplot with two other characters, and it's good. Like
It's cute.
Yeah.
It's really short. Siskel and Ebert were like, why did they even have that in there? And I'm like, why wouldn't they?
I mean, it does kind of
needed,
make.
it needed another scene. Just
Yeah.
one more scene with the
You do
two of
see them like making out at one point, and I guess that's supposed to be their midpoint scene.
Right. There's not enough of them to make sense to be in the film, so there should have either been more of them or none of them.
or at least like more of them interacting with other people.
Yeah.
Because it's just, and here's what's going on with these two. And
And
it
then they
moves on.
clap for the
Yeah.
other ones, and that's it.
Yeah. And so they win their debate.
And then they make Mary even more angry.
Oh my God, because they say, oh, we better get out of here before the press shows up. I'm like, you're on television. The press is here. What do you mean show up? They were in the room with you. So then they run out. They run out of the Supreme Court of the chambers, and they run through the halls, and then they're standing in this rotunda, and they decide to finally kiss, and then they go running out of the Supreme Court building, followed by, I guess, the press. What the hell ending is that? That doesn't make any goddamn sense whatsoever.
It's the liberal media, man.
Exactly. That's all it is. It's all about, oh no, we don't want to get caught by the liberal media because those are the bad guys. What was that ending?
I don't know. It felt like it was the end of like a 1940s comedy,
Right, and that would be
like a
fine.
courtroom comedy.
Look,
Yeah.
look. If this was like the end of It Happened One Night, and they want to outrun the press, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I get that.
What's the one?
Or like Meet John Doe, or what?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like there are other movies where that would have made sense. It doesn't make any sense in this film. Well, first of all, why do you care if the
Roman Holiday. Thank God.
Okay,
That
yeah.
was killing me.
Sure. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But Kirk Cameron specifically states, "I want to be president of the United States." Like,
No, thank you.
Then why would you run out of here? You just
know.
won the debate. Your face is on television. Why wouldn't you want to get there? This is the launching of
This
your
is it.
career.
Yeah,
This is
that's it.
Why would you run out? The ending makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I agree with you. The movie falls apart in the last several minutes.
The last 10, 15 minutes of this film are stupid. They are fascist and stupid. Both. Those are two separate problems, but they're both there.
You know what? As an adult, I'm going to say something that I never would have said when I watched it when I was young. Gar should have taken his dad's deal. Do you want your play on Broadway next year? Let's do it.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Oh my God, don't turn that down. I know you want to be an artist for art's sake or whatever, but Jesus Christ, if somebody offers you a Broadway play.
Like, I'm sorry, you don't get to Broadway through meritocracy. You get to it through, knowing somebody.
Yeah.
You absolutely should have taken... that's the thing. Earlier in the film, his father says, okay, look, you want to be an artist? I can get you, a way in. I can get you set up on Broadway. I can get you, published, whatever you want.
Publish you right now.
And he's like, no, I want to earn it on my own. I'm like, you moron. Nobody earns it. Once you get there, once you get your foot in the door... Yeah, you stay there usually. It depends. But for the most part, you stay there if you have talent, right? If you're really not talented, you are going to fail out at some point.
Yeah.
But getting your foot in the door, you take every opportunity somebody gives you. I'm sorry, and I say that because I got no opportunities, and here I am doing a podcast about movies. I'm just saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. He should have taken his father's deal.
He should have taken the deal.
Yeah.
Dennis, what do you think?
No.
Shut up, Gen X.
I am Gen X.
Yeah, I mean, technically I am too, but I'm not one of you, Dennis.
Well, he
I think
shouldn't
he was
have.
just taking the...
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already forgotten what they are. The affirmative and the other one.
Yes.
Yeah, the other one.
Is there any-
Really, the thing that would fix this movie is anyone else in Kirk's role.
Well, okay, so
No,
here's the
'cause
thing.
you'd
That's
still
not
have the
true.
ending.
You'd still
Yeah.
have that terrible ending.
But I feel like he probably pushed for that ending.
Well, we
that's
don't
the
know.
reason why he did this movie, I'm sure.
We don't.
We don't know. We don't
I
know.
know.
I mean,
We do know.
no.
Okay, so the one thing that I did want to say, which I thought was relevant at the time, when I worked in a library, any library I've ever worked at, there are these books called Opposing Viewpoints. They literally have abortion, anti-abortion in one book so that you can read all this stuff. And when I was younger, I thought, oh, yeah, this is a good thing for students to whatever. And then I just thought, no, we don't need to make some of these arguments.
Yeah.
I think they were starting to put out the trans question at the end. And I'm no, we don't need to make that argument.
I know. It's just kind of well, the Holocaust. Was it really such a bad idea? That's because that's where you eventually end up.
Well, yeah, I mean, slavery. Was
Yeah.
it really about slaves? Or was the Civil War really about slaves? Was slavery really about people who were upset? Or were they happy?
Yeah, was it actually
fuck
good
off.
for them because they got to learn skills?
Oh my God.
As the governor of Florida said about a year ago.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. So I find a lot of value in debate. I think it can be really useful. On the other hand, it is also how you destroy a society. It is. I'm sorry. I mean, we're seeing it right now. Debate me, Nazis, running our government.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where logic is not part of the debate system at all. It's
No.
just emotion.
It is
Yeah.
just emotion. Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
You're welcome for this movie.
Look, Alana, I gotta say something. I had vague memory of this film from being on cable, and the only thing I remembered of this film was the phrase about lifting cars. That's literally all I remembered about
Wow,
this.
you remembered that.
How would you not remember that? It's the most memorable thing in this film. That phrase? That phrase is insane. Nobody's ever said that before or since.
The condom balloons always stuck out to me.
I've seen those in college. That was fine. I mean, why you would put your mouth on because gross, but because they're lubricated.
They could be unlubricated. Although why you would ever want to do that to yourself?
Condoms, they're great, but they're gross, right?
Those were very dry looking condoms.
Well, yeah, of course, it's a film. But
Yeah.
where was I going with this?
That scene really reminded me of that. Not the other movie we saw.
Happy together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That first scene.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, so when you came to me, and said, I want to show you a movie and you're going to hate it. And first of all, that is a lie insofar as I've liked a lot of the films we've watched together for the show. I said earlier that, Shock Treatment, fantastic. Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street's great.
You liked it more than I did.
I like Nightmare
I
on
thought
Elm
it was
Street.
messy as heck.
That's okay.
I think
it is, but it's
didn't
great.
you recommend Angel?
No, that
I
was...
did actually. I was
Yeah.
I wasn't the only
that's
person, but
right.
I was
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the people. I caught it when it was like on TV one night when we were in a hotel or something. And I was
Angel
like,
rocks.
We love Angel.
Yeah.
Angel is so good. So you've given us a lot of good films. Like, yeah, the Happy Together I did not like, and Vibes does not work. Although I get why
Dream
you
a
like
Little Dream.
Dream
It
a
was
Little
fine.
Dream. It's a weird movie.
do you think Ebert was really like? Don't you think he's being a little hyperbolic about calling this "Listen to Me" the weirdest whatever movie he said?
Well, yeah, I'm sure he is being hyperbolic. Ebert is definitely, he is not a guru. I enjoyed his reviews a lot. I really did, but I don't always agree with him. When he came to me with this film, and I didn't know what it was going to be until like literally right before we watched it, and I think there was like a thought of, wow, this is just going to be kind of like watching Happy Together again, or something like that. And I kind of like the fact that we've had so much more to talk about, for what is, not a well-remembered or probably even very well-liked drama for most people. I don't think most people remember. I mean, anybody who would watch it probably just caught it on cable. I don't think it did well at the box office is what I mean. No. And like, looking up its Rotten Tomatoes score, it does not score high. But it does give us a lot to pull apart.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think that's extremely valuable.
That's what
in a film.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly.
I'm not actually out to torture you. I'm here to bring you movies that you can. Shut the hell up. I am here to bring you movies.
All of my friendships have a little bit of an S&M quality to them, I think.
That is the most vanilla thing I've ever heard in my life.
I will say that this movie had all four things that we mentioned. So it has a dog.
Yeah.
Has a love triangle.
It does.
It has an angry father.
It does.
And
Somebody
death.
dies.
and someone dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the perfect 80s movie.
It really is.
I mean, it does hit a lot of the things we for some dumb reason look for. I don't know where dogs came in, but they do.
love dogs.
It was
Dennis loves dogs.
Dennis loving dogs.
Yeah, it really
Literally,
is just
that's all
Dennis
it
loves
was.
dogs.
I hate kids in movies, except occasionally. Like some directors know how to handle them, but usually they're just
Over the top, and it's painful. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's like watching Goonies.
Stop making these kids do what you're making them do. But dogs, dogs.
Dogs.
It's just chaos on screen. It's great.
Dogs.
Just let 'em
Dogs.
go.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. Dogs are great. Kids, not so much.
No.
Yeah. I caught Goonies, I don't know, a few months ago. And it was a movie I loved as a child. And I
hate
saw
it.
it as an
I
adult.
hate
And I'm
it.
just like, this is the most annoying film I've ever
I've
seen.
never hated anything more in my life
Yeah.
than the switch from being a Goonies fan as a kid to absolutely loathing it as an adult, except for maybe my undying hatred of I forget what's the movie called? The Secret of Nim.
Oh, let's not talk about that because you
Because
and
we
I are
talked about it
we're
before,
on
and
very
we are
different
on
sides. Yeah.
opposite sides of
But
this.
as far as Goonies
But
goes,
if you write a book and the book is about science and you decide to make a movie, you don't put magic in it. Period.
magic is so much more fun in film.
This is like the Shining arguments, book versus film.
All right, that was Listen to Me, starring Kirk Cameron, Jamie Gertz, Roy Scheider, Amanda Peterson, Tim Quill. Who else was in this? George Weiner. That's right. That's the Colonel Sanders guy.
Oh, and Lila Quartermain from General Hospital.
Oh, yes. She's what?
She's like a grandmother.
A grandmother to the Gar. Yeah, and also let's see. Anthony Zerbe actually plays Gar's dad. The senator. And Peter DeLuise is in this as well. As far as I'm concerned, a guy who definitely stormed the Capitol.
And Lisa Simpson and Moon Zappa somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they say they're in there, but are they?
I don't know.
Written and directed by Douglas Day Stewart, who apparently also made An Officer and a Gentleman, which is a movie that we're going to cover at some point because I've never seen that.
80s royalty.
Yeah, sure. All right, we are Merry Face Movies on most of your major platforms. We are actually on, TikTok and Instagram, where we have reels now with Reggie, the team mascot, shall we call him?
My boyfriend. My
your-
boyfriend.
yes.
Just call him my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend, absolutely.
The only one of two attractive men in the world. And maybe Pedro Pascal.
Man, I like Pedro Pascal as an actor, but I'm not into the whole cult of Pascal. I don't know why.
I mean, you have a choice, and it's Oscar Isaac or Pedro Pascal, and you seem like an Oscar Isaac kind of gal.
I am much more of
Me
an
too.
Oscar Isaac kind
Really?
of gal.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely Oscar Isaac on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a little
From
too
the beginning.
smarmy or something. And
Yeah, I know.
and Pedro Pascal was on Buffy, so
All right. Well, anyway, social media, Mary vs. Movies, except on Tumblr where it's Mary versus the movies, but I have not updated the Tumblr in a very long time because my app stopped working and I'm lazy. So anyway,
you're not lazy.
we are on all of your major platforms where you can listen to us. We are on Apple Podcasts where you can rate and review the show. And we would really appreciate it if you did. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube, which is a little weird, but we're on there. And I mean, it's weird because it's just like an image of our podcast logo and then you listen to us. But we are on there, which is cool. And we actually have started getting people listening that way and putting in comments. So you can comment on the actual episodes there, which is kind of neat, getting feedback that way.
Cool.
That's a new thing. So I don't know. I think that's kind of neat. But what else? We are on Overcast. You can get our RSS feed from Libsyn and just plug it into however you listen to shows. What else? We have a Patreon where you can help support the show for $3 a month. You will help pay the cost of things like renting movies, our server, our Zoom account, like whatever.
Gas and tolls to New Jersey.
No, seriously, gas and
from
tolls.
New Jersey.
Gas and tolls. Actually, yeah, I guess it's leaving Jersey to go to Pennsylvania. Whatever, like so we have travel costs for doing shows. Hopefully we have a live event coming up. In a couple of weeks. By the time you hear this, it might have already happened, but we're doing something in town with Space 1026 Space Melt, where we're presenting Joe Dante's The Movie Orgy. So this is all stuff where, we're putting money in. If you want to help support the show for $3 a month, patreon.com/MaryVS Movies, because we do not have ads. We are not on a network. It is just the two of us doing this show with, the help of our friends, just like Joe Cocker. I'm sorry, that's right, it was the Beatles. But I watched The Wonder Years. Anyway, but if you give us $3 a month, you get access to a whole second show, Hollywood Avalon, where we watch Arthurian movies. And that covers everything from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade to The Kid Who Would Be King to Bugs Bunny cartoons to what was the most...
The Adventures of Sir Lancelot.
The Adventures of Sir Lancelot. TV shows. We watch TV shows. We watched the pilot of Merlin, the 2008 British series. We've watched all kinds of stuff on that show. So if you want to listen to us talk about King Arthur in ways that, it's not stuffy. We watched Army of Darkness, for Christ's sake, which rocks. Who doesn't love Army of Darkness? Anyway, yes, Mary vs. Movies, patreon.com/whatever. And you can listen to us talk about Arthurian movies for once a month. Anyway, all right. Alana, thank you for being on the show. Do you have anything to promote?
Yeah, your Discord.
Oh, yeah. That's right. We have a Discord. I don't have like an easy address for that, so I guess I don't know how you find a Discord. Ask me for the account and I'll
get the newsletter.
Oh, that's right. It's linked to in the newsletter. Thank you. We have a newsletter that you can get for free. You don't have to sign up for the Patreon for that, but we try to put out a newsletter with each episode. It doesn't always happen because life gets away from us, and Dennis and I work really long hours, but we try to put out a newsletter each week. We will have talking about the movie that we just watched, whoever our guest is, whatever else we're watching in the media at the time. Dennis sometimes does comics, which is great. Draws great not comic books, but like comics. It's just a lot of fun, and also it has a link to all of our different social media places and the link to our Discord where you can chat with other listeners about the show, and it's just it's another type of social media. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun on there talking to people.
I think that the pizza is my favorite part every time.
Yes, there's pizza reviews in the newsletter. There is a pizza section in the Discord. Pizza is life.
It's very important to us.
Extremely important. I don't think we could go on in a world without pizza. Just the other day I was reading about the origins of pizza. Do you know that goes back to at least like the 9th century? There's a record of some bishop being gifted 12 pizzas for the year.
No.
Yes, I got to show you this when we get home.
Wow.
That's amazing. It's like
great.
when you go on a game show in the 80s and win lifetime worth of pizza.
That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's like the 9th century. It's literally the word pizza. All right. So once again, Alana,
I do have to promote the book.
Yeah, you do actually have something to promote, though. So, yeah.
Okay, so I sometimes write and sometimes edit. This time I am editing, and I'm here to talk about the book that I just finished editing. It is called For Hire, The Price of Fame. It's by Kevin A. Patterson. It is the best thing that he's written other than his nonfiction work, which is award-winning, so I feel really bad saying it's better than that. But it's fun, and people get punched. It's superheroes, and it's sort of loosely inspired by The Wire. I really love it. There's a crowdfund going on right now.
Where can you get the other books?
So the other books are available on Amazon almost primarily for paperback. And then if you don't want to do the whole Amazon thing and you want to get an ebook, it's on Smashwords and Draft to Digital, which should start farming everything out soon. It's a whole thing because like they just got sold, whatever. You can also check it all out on my webpage, which is www.wordpress.com/polyamorouslibrarian. But yeah, I'm super happy about this book. I really hope that a lot of people buy it. I hope that Kev hits his goal with it. And he's been doing some videos for it, which are really fun because he tells you a little bit about the background. And yeah, I love it. I really enjoy doing this. And it's so funny because like Kev comes to me to edit, I go to Mary to edit my stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a circle of wonderfulness.
Well, I like editing, so yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is. It
It's
actually
like
is.
correcting people. It's great.
Yeah, and I'm the annoying person who is constantly trying not to correct people. So, again, Alana, thank you so much for being on the show and for bringing us something to actually honestly talk about. You know, it's fun to pull things apart like this.
And more importantly, thanks for the pizza.
Yeah, very importantly. So until next time.
What's it gonna be, Mo Dooney?